After 3 years of marriage, my wife and I seemed to have a wonderful relationship. However, when I suddenly had a heart attack, Lilly snatched the nitroglycerin tablets from my hand. Fearing I wasn't dying fast enough, she even played a video of her with her lover. Only then did I realize that our apparent love was all a facade, and she couldn't wait for me to die. This time, after being reborn, I'm determined to change this outcome. Ding! Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. My name is Alvin Johnson. Standing before me is my wife, Lilly Turner. She's the venomous woman who, in my previous life, stole my medicine and literally angered me to death. After I died, my soul floated up into the air, and I witnessed many events that occurred after my passing. I saw Lilly celebrating my death with her lover. I watched her fight with my parents over the inheritance, seizing the house, car, and savings, causing my father to have a stroke. I even saw my good friend Bill Harrison, who tried to stand up for my parents, go to confront Lilly and her lover, only to end up with broken legs after being attacked by thugs hired by her lover. Witnessing these scenes, my heart twisted in agony, until a voice told me, "Go back, do what you need to do." A beam of light flashed, and I returned to 1 year before my death. This time, I won't make the same mistakes. "Alvin, what's wrong?" Lilly asked with sudden concern, noticing my daze. I stared at the woman before me, my thoughts racing. Lilly and I had been dating since university. I came from a wealthy background while she was from a poor family. Her father was a gambler who neglected his wife and children and was often violent. Debt collectors frequently came to their home. Her mother, unable to bear the torment, committed suicide by drinking poison. I even paid for Lilly's 4 years of university tuition. In the 3 years since our marriage, I had worked diligently, climbing to a management position in a large company with a considerable annual salary. But I entrusted all my money to her. I had done everything I could to ensure we had a better life. But what I got in return was the most vicious calculation and betrayal, not just for money, but for my life. "I'm fine, just twisted my back a bit, but I'm better now," I replied. Seeing my natural expression, she also relaxed. I thought to myself, "Lilly Turner, if I don't make you suffer worse than your dead mother this time around, I've wasted this second chance." I don't know why my resolve could be so firm, to the point where facing her, I didn't even feel anger anymore, only deep-seated hatred. At this moment, Lilly said, "Bill Harrison was looking for you earlier. He said it was urgent. When you didn't reply, he came to me." Bill? My heart ached at the mention of his name. He was my best friend, but in my previous life, because he didn't get along with Lilly, and because he liked to frequent various massage parlors, Lilly whispered in my ear, asking me to have less contact with him to avoid being led astray. I actually agreed to her request, wanting to be a good, upright man. In the end, Bill and I grew apart, but I never expected that after I died, he would be the one to take care of my parents. He even got beaten up by the scoundrel's thugs, leaving him disabled. That's a true friend. Lilly Turner noticed my eyes getting a bit red and asked, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing. I'll just go return his call." I remembered that it was on this very day that Bill Harrison got caught in a raid at a massage parlor for getting too intimate with a girl there. He asked me to help pay his fine, but I didn't go. We didn't speak for a year after that. This time, however, I quickly dialed Bill's number. "Hello? What's up? Oh my God. You're killing me here. Why did it take you so long to answer? Look, I'm in a bit of trouble and need 500 quid. Can't really tell the family about it. Do you think you could?" "Which police station?" I asked Bill which station he was at and went to bail him out without a second thought. Bill was quite puzzled by how quickly I acted. But as we walked out of the police station, I gave him a hug. "You're a good mate. I'm sorry for everything," I said, meaning every word. Bill, however, was quite alarmed. "What's this about? Are you trying to set me up with some dodgy bird or something? This doesn't sound like you at all. Shouldn't you be telling me off for being irresponsible?" I put my arm around him and said, "I've had a change of heart. Our friendship matters more than anything. Whatever you do, I'll always have your back because you're my mate. Bill stared at me for a while, then felt my forehead. You're not running a fever, are you? Didn't you say that, cow? I mean, your missus doesn't like you hanging out with me? Who cares what that gold digger thinks? I blurted out before I could stop myself. Bill was shocked. Mate, since when did you get so good at banter? Is it my birthday or something? It's not your birthday, it's mine. Come on, let's go for some roast beef. I wasn't lying, today was indeed my birthday. My rebirth day. I took Bill to a restaurant where we had a big meal. You seem different today, Bill said as he sipped his beer. You never used to badmouth Lilly. You'd even get upset if I made a joke about her. I hadn't planned on telling anyone about my rebirth, but remembering how he stood up for my parents and got crippled for it, I couldn't bear to keep it from my good friend. So, with the help of some liquid courage, I told him everything I'd been through. After hearing it all, Bill fell silent for a long time, smoking a couple of cigarettes. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Bill, I never thought you'd be so loyal in the end. Bill slowly spoke up. That bastard deserves to rot. I'm not exactly a looker, you know. My long legs were my only asset for pulling birds, and he went and crippled me. Might as well have killed me. We both burst out laughing, clinked our glasses, and drank heartily. So what are you going to do now? He asked. Thinking about it, I smirked. We've got a year. We'll take our time playing with her. Bill looked at me with a confident expression, his face lighting up with joy. Then I'll quit my job at the company and focus on working with you. Bill was an employee at a state-owned enterprise, always feeling constrained. He even had to be extra careful when going to the pub to chat with girls. If he left the system, he'd have much more freedom in the future. I smiled. It's up to you. I didn't treat you well enough in our past life, so I'll make it up to you in this one. Let's do business together. Bill slammed the table, startling the diners nearby. Great, Alvin. I'm counting on you. How much startup capital do you have? I thought for a moment. Lilly manages all my money. I used last month's bonus from work to bail you out this time. How much was your bonus last month? About £510. Oh, 500. Wait, you just paid £500 in fines. Bill then pointed at the steaming roast beef on the table. And this meal. A little while later, Bill and I walked out with our heads hanging low. He had to pay over £10 to settle the bill for the roast beef. Now we've got £5 between us. How are we supposed to start a business? Actually, I had already thought of a solution. Do you remember how I like to buy lottery tickets? What use is that? Can you remember the winning numbers for any draw? I can't remember the others, but I clearly remember tomorrow's draw. In my previous life, Lilly wouldn't let me go out to deal with Bill's situation, so I didn't leave the house. I missed buying a ticket for this draw. It turned out my numbers were just one digit off from the jackpot. I could have won the second prize of £8,000. At the time, I mocked myself for saving £500 by not helping Bill, but losing out on £8,000. I had been petty for nothing. I still clearly remembered that if I had changed the 6 in my numbers to a 9, it would have been the jackpot. We need to get to the betting shop before 7:30 p.m. If we miss it, we won't be able to turn things around. That's fine, it's only… Bloody hell, it's 7 p.m. now. Bill nearly jumped out of his skin when he looked at his phone. We ran like mad to find a betting shop and used the remaining £5 in his pocket to buy 25 entries with one set of numbers. You keep this ticket. I'm afraid Lilly might find out. We must keep this a secret, I warned Bill. Bill said, Don't worry. I won't lose this ticket even if I die. My entire future depends on it. With that, we went our separate ways. I returned home to wait calmly for the draw. Lilly was cleaning the house and looked a bit unhappy when she saw me come back. Did Bill get into trouble again? I tried my best to reassure her. No, we just had a small get-together. See how obedient I am? I came home so early. I had no choice but to maintain extreme self-control and suppress my hatred for this woman until I could completely destroy Lilly and her lover. Lilly gave me a cold look but didn't say anything more. She just went back to tidying up the room. I started watching TV while keeping an eye on the time. At 9:30 p.m., Bill called me right on schedule. I smiled softly as I answered the phone. How did it go? Bro, we hit the jackpot. The next day, I went with Bill Harrison to collect the prize. We received a staggering £134 million check, which we promptly deposited into Bill's account at the bank. Aren't you afraid I'll run off with the money? Bill, seeing such a large sum for the first time, was almost beside himself with excitement. Not at all. This is just the beginning, I replied. Then I wrote down the names of 3 stocks that were sure to skyrocket this year, telling Bill to invest £100 million in them immediately. Bill hesitated. Are you sure? That's £100 million we're talking about. Have you forgotten my hobby? I've always loved reading the financial pages. These 3 stocks are set to soar, but they'll start to drop in 3 months. I'll let you know when to sell. Fair enough. It's your money after all. Don't blame me if it goes wrong. Bill's pessimism was as annoying as ever. We decided to celebrate at a seafood restaurant, chatting as we ate. Bill said, "Why don't we just forget about Lilly Turner? You've got nearly £70 million now. That's enough to find 3 wives if you want. It's best to cut ties with that gold digger as soon as possible." What? How did it become £70 million? I asked, confused. Didn't you tell me last time that I'm your best mate and you'd split everything with me 50-50? Bill said, munching on a lobster. You're so predictable. I laughed, then added seriously, I don't just want her money. I want her life. As I said this, Bill sighed. The deeper the love, the deeper the hate. I remember when I told you not to get involved with Lilly Turner. That woman looked trouble from the start. You didn't listen, and look what happened. He was about to say, look what happened. She got you killed. But then remembered I'd been reborn. So he took a drag on his cigarette and said, look what happened. You ended up earning £1 million with tears in your eyes. Won't your life be boring now? What goals do you have left? I laughed heartily. It was the happiest I'd been since my rebirth. Bloody hell, the boss in our work group chat is dishing out more tasks. Says some idiot messed up the project documents and there'll be a fine. Bill cursed as he checked his work phone. What project? I asked. Oh, the one I'm in charge of. Isn't he talking about you then? I couldn't help but laugh. Bill chuckled too. This damn company. They call themselves a national enterprise, but we haven't had a pay rise in 5 years, and they're always late with wages. The bosses are all tyrants, especially that Hank Mitchell. He's always giving me a hard time, insulting even my parents when he's on a rant. So what are you going to do? Bill typed a reply on WhatsApp. Hank, mate, I'm busy eating. Stop nattering on, we'll sort it tomorrow. I burst out laughing. You're going to get roasted tomorrow. Who cares? As long as I'm happy. For that measly £3,500 a month, my parents have been insulted hundreds of times. This is my little payback. Soon after, several colleagues called Bill, asking if he'd gone mad to dare offend Hank Mitchell. Bill told them he had enough money to start his own small business and would resign tomorrow. I couldn't help but grin, imagining how dramatically Bill would quit his job tomorrow. To celebrate Bill's impending unemployment, we headed to a karaoke bar. In my previous life, I never went to these places. I was careful with my money, saving it all for the family. Besides, I had no interest in the glitzy nightlife scene. But this time, my attitude has changed. Firstly, I no longer need to save money for Lilly Turner. Secondly, my next plan involves these various characters from all walks of life. Bill Harrison, of course, knew nothing of the situation. He thought I had seen the light and promptly called over 4 beautiful women, suggesting 2 for each of us. He also ordered a bunch of foreign liquor, drinking and singing because of love with the hostesses. After a while, Bill got up to use the loo. As he opened the door and looked outside, he paused for a moment, then quickly said to me, Alvin, come here quick. I followed him and saw a balding middle-aged man in a pink shirt, stumbling towards the toilet with a hostess in his arms. Who's that? I asked. That's our bloody manager Hank. Ha ha. If I take a photo of this tosser in a nightclub and report him, he'll be under investigation immediately. So I followed Bill and we secretly took a few photos of Mr. Mitchell. Then Bill called out to him. "Hanky boy, your lifestyle's a bit dodgy, innit? A state-owned enterprise official doing this sort of thing? It wouldn't look good if word got out, would it?" Mr. Mitchell, who had been a bit tipsy, sobered up immediately when he saw Bill. "Bill, what are you doing here?" "Obvious, innit? Your old man's here for a bit of fun. But I'm spending my own money. Can't say the same for you, can we?" Mr. Mitchell demanded angrily. "You work under me? You dare threaten me?" "Oh, come off it. No need to get all huffy. You're not scaring anyone. Tomorrow I won't be your subordinate anymore, old chap. I'm resigning. So you want money, is that it? Let me tell you, I can report you for blackmail. Then we'll both go down. I'll just face an investigation at worst, but you'll be in the nick. What if I don't want money at all? What if I just want you to do one small thing that has nothing to do with money?" Saying this, he whispered something in Mr. Mitchell's ear. Mr. Mitchell was first enraged, then looked troubled, and finally said in a dejected tone, "You're sure you're leaving tomorrow?" Bill casually showed Mr. Mitchell his bank balance on his mobile. "This doesn't include what I've got in stocks. I won the lottery," Mr. Mitchell said bitterly. "Leave some room for maneuver, we might meet again someday." "What good does this request do for you?" "None at all. It's just like when you used to bollocks me, making me revise plans 10 times, only to use the first version in the end. Just for fun, mate. Hanky, you can't always be so mercenary." Mr. Mitchell's eyes were practically shooting flames, but he eventually sighed. "Fine, I agree. But you must delete those photos." Then, Mr. Mitchell took out his phone and, almost in tears, typed a message in the workgroup chat. "Latest personnel changes. Bill Harrison will leave his position tomorrow. His subsequent work will be followed up by Yvette Collins and Cecilia Jenkins. Additionally, Bill and I have a close personal relationship. We may be superior and subordinate in name, but in reality we're like father and son. He looks very much like my late father, so in my heart, I've always thought of him as my own dad. I hope his departure won't lead to any unnecessary speculation. Hank Mitchell." Bill, who had already had a few drinks, looked at this WhatsApp message for a while, making sure it couldn't be recalled. He patted Mr. Mitchell's now purple face and said, "Tables have turned, mate. You think of me as your dad, so I can't very well report my own son, can I? See ya." With that, he pulled me away, but at that moment, I saw a figure coming out of the gents. About 6 feet tall, with shaggy hair, walking with a bit of swagger, even whistling as he went. He looked every bit the spoiled rich kid. In a place like this, a posh boy wasn't out of place. But based on my memories from my previous life in heaven, I clearly felt that this person might just be the adulterer. When Bill Harrison heard that this was the man who had been having an affair with Lilly, and was the culprit who crippled him in a parallel world, he was so angry that he wanted to go and crack the guy's skull open right now. I was even more furious than Bill, but I still held him back. Bloody hell, this bastard broke my leg, and I'm not supposed to beat him until he can't have kids. Bill snarled. I shook my head. Can you hate him more than I do? You only lost a leg, but I lost my love, and nearly my life. Bill couldn't understand why I was stopping him. I explained, have you heard of the butterfly effect? If you forcefully intervene in the development of an event, things might not unfold as you expect. So what do you want to do? I want them to follow the original script step by step until they're cornered. If you beat him up now, his life trajectory might change. He might not even meet Lily Turner, and then my foresight would be useless. Bill saw the logic in what I said and could only suppress his anger. I asked Bill to pretend to take a selfie while secretly snapping a couple of photos of the man's face for our records. The bastard had quite a handsome face, with rosy lips and white teeth. He had a small oval face, looking like a mix between an artsy type and a layabout. The next day, Bill came to my office. Bill had found out that the man's name was Nick Andrews, and he frequented gentlemen's clubs, having ambiguous relationships with many wealthy older women. Nick Andrews. I stared at the photo of the adulterer, thinking about how he and Lilly, that pair of scoundrels, were plotting to harm me for money. My eyes seemed to shoot fire, but reason still held me back. I asked Bill, "Have you quit your job recently?" "Just got back from the office," handed in my resignation. I saw my godfather, Mr. Mitchell, too. He had a complicated expression when he saw me resigning. "Go and get some surveillance equipment. This afternoon, I'll lure Lilly away, and you go to her flower shop. Set up 360-degree surveillance with no blind spots, preferably with audio too." Lilly had opened a flower shop with my money. Because she loved flowers, and I didn't want her to work too hard, I let her set up a flower shop so she could do what she enjoyed every day. Bill received his instructions and, having nothing better to do anyway, went off to take care of it immediately. I made up an excuse to invite Lilly out for French cuisine, saying it was to apologize for not listening to her and going to see Bill. Once everything was prepared, all that was left was for the big fish to appear and wait for the net to close. I no longer had any ambition at work, spending my days slacking off, with my primary goal being to avoid attracting the boss's attention. Surprisingly, my days became much more leisurely than before. My greatest pleasure was watching every day to see when Lilly would meet her soulmate Nick Andrews. At the same time, I accidentally dropped her phone in the sink. In the afternoon, I bought her a new model. I took the opportunity to tamper with it a bit, installing monitoring software on her new phone so I could keep track of her chats with anyone at any time. Another week passed, and finally the big fish appeared. A customer came to Lilly's flower shop to buy flowers for his girlfriend. It was Nick Andrews. A chance encounter, like a golden wind meeting jade dew, surpasses all earthly pleasures. Though this saying might seem a bit ironic when applied to these two lovebirds, it certainly fits the scene. Even if the wind was more of a dust storm and the jade dew was more like stale beer. According to the CCTV footage, these two chatted for ages the first time they met. Nick, the cheeky bastard, certainly knew how to charm the ladies. He kept asking Lilly about the meanings of different flowers, pretending to take notes as if he was revising for A-levels. "Your girlfriend must be so lucky," Lilly complimented, watching him so earnestly choosing flowers for his supposed partner. I snickered to myself, thinking how soon she'd be experiencing that luck herself. They exchanged contact details before Nick left. The next day, Nick came back to buy flowers again, but their chats grew longer. At first, I was puzzled. Wasn't Nick supposed to be buying flowers for his girlfriend? Why was he flirting with Lilly? But as time went on, I realized how naive I'd been. He was spinning a tale about being rejected while trying to buy flowers for his girlfriend, weaving a woeful love story. He painted himself as the perfect, attentive boyfriend, but claimed his girlfriend was too materialistic and had left him. Yet he said he still bought her flowers every day, leaving them at her doorstep in hopes she'd have a change of heart. The way he told it, you'd think he was visiting her grave daily. Thanks to Bill's intel, I knew the truth. The first time, he really was buying flowers, but for some rich older woman. When he saw how pretty Lilly was, he decided to try his luck, and all the subsequent flower purchases were just for show. Lilly, however, didn't see through it. She just saw him as a sensitive, artistic, warm-hearted bloke, so much better than me, the clueless oaf who hung around with lowlifes like Bill. Finally, the main event arrived. That day, our artistic Romeo bought another bouquet from Lilly's shop, but as soon as he'd paid, he handed it right back to her. Lilly looked confused. "Remember when I asked you about the meaning of champagne roses? You said they represent a love to be proud of." "Yes, that's right. So, I'm giving these champagne roses to you." Nick pushed the flowers towards her again. It was sickening. I felt nauseous just watching it on screen. But Lilly was flattered, feigning reluctance as she said, "You know I'm married. That's not an obstacle for us. I won't interfere with your life. I just love you. Love isn't about possession, it's about salvation. You've saved my soul, showing me how beautiful it is to love someone worthy of love." I'm no longer pining for a woman who doesn't love me. I found my own dawn. I had to hand it to Nick. The git had some skills. He managed to make cheating sound so pure and poetic. If he was that ill, he should see a doctor. How could a florist running a dingy shop save anyone? Later, they even shared a passionate kiss in the flower shop, embracing for over 10 minutes without letting go. After that, things progressed naturally. They spent more and more time chatting on WhatsApp, their conversations growing increasingly nauseating. They always called each other darling and babe, while Nick nicknamed her Lil, making her sound like some sort of soft drink. On the third day, they went to a hotel to get a room, and Lily Turner was the one who paid for it. Seeing all this, I should have been furious, but my memories from my previous life had long since left me with no feelings for Lily. Now I only wanted to figure out how to destroy this pair of cheaters, so I had absolutely no emotional reaction to this. But the fact that Lily was paying for the hotel room made me think Nick Andrews was quite talented, freeloading so skillfully. I told Bill Harrison about this, and he laughed that I had finally achieved my wish of being cuckolded. I laughed heartily. It's fine. I'll be widowed in the future anyway. How's your intelligence gathering going? Recently, Bill had been on business trips. He had been frequenting various clubs, gathering information and thoroughly investigating what kind of people Nick had been involved with before. He loved doing this because when he went to investigate, only a third of his time was spent gathering information. The rest of the time was spent laying the groundwork, which he euphemistically called publicly funded research. This bastard is a typical pretty boy, specializing in scamming money from women. But in the past, he's only conned old and ugly rich women. I guess he wanted to satisfy himself and find someone of higher quality. So he found your wife. Also, I had an unexpected gain. I connected with one of his dodgy mates, treated him to a couple of massages, and now he's dying to become sworn brothers with me. He even added me to a group chat. What group? Bill took out his phone, and I couldn't help but laugh when I saw it. Snow Moon Fragrance Flower Picking Exchange Group. I don't need to tell you what kind of people are in this group, right? I nodded, guessing that anyone with fewer than 5 arrests for soliciting wouldn't have the credentials to join this group. In this group, they don't just share where the quality prostitutes are, they also post videos of their own affairs. The key thing is, Nick is also in this group. As we were talking, a video had already been posted in the group, and it was from Nick. Bill quickly opened it and turned red-faced after watching for 5 seconds. Because the female lead was Lily Turner. I shrugged. It doesn't matter. Do you think I still consider Lily my wife now? But I didn't expect Nick to be so shameless, daring to send this kind of video to others. Seeing that I didn't mind, Bill watched with interest for a while and said, actually, looking at it this way, I might have had some misconceptions about Lily before. What misconceptions? She's actually quite fair-skinned. I felt both annoyed and amused hearing this. If I still had any old feelings for Lily, I would definitely be uncomfortable seeing Bill critiquing her bedroom video. But in my heart, Lily was long dead to me. It was just a matter of how to destroy her to satisfy my grudge. So I didn't have any emotional reaction. Why don't I just show this to Lily? They'll definitely fall out because of it, Bill suggested. I quickly stopped him. Don't you dare. That would ruin everything. We're nowhere near the end yet. Is my goal just to make them have a fight and never speak to each other again? I'm not staging a cockfight here. Then what do you want to do? I instructed Bill. Anyway, keep calm. You must not reveal your identity, and keep this record. It will be useful when we move on to the next step. But for now, don't startle the snake in the grass. Bill repeatedly assured me, don't worry. I've watched it, but that's all. I won't like it or anything. But he couldn't help asking, what's the next step? Lily still has 80,000 pounds of my savings, and the house we live in is in both our names. The first step is to get all of these things back from her. I assigned Bill Harrison's main task recently to thoroughly investigate the pub that Nick Andrews frequently visits. Since becoming unemployed, Bill's primary mission has been to hang around various places Nick loves, under the pretext of seeking revenge for me. After a month, Bill had become friends with the regulars at these places, showing signs of becoming a leader among the local ruffians. Just then, the Premier League was about to start. As a football fan, I knew every detail of this year's matches. So I had Bill register a new WhatsApp account, and using a fake identity, he smoothly joined their group chat without anyone noticing. After chatting for a few days, he started revealing the results of each match in advance to the group, claiming to have inside information. The first time, people thought he was just guessing. The second time, they thought he could analyze well. After the third time, since Bill could even predict which players would score, he became known as a guru in their small circle. Everyone started following his bets. Among them was Nick Andrews. I had investigated before and knew he loved gambling. This trap was designed specifically for him. To avoid deceiving too many people, I had Bill privately add Nick on WhatsApp and tell him the next day's match results one-on-one. This time, South American bookies want to create an upset. The odds are very high. For tomorrow's Arsenal versus Manchester United match, bet on Manchester United to win by 3 goals. If you want to get rich, you'd better bet big. £100,000 could win you about £3 million. If it were a normal person, they wouldn't believe such a windfall. Why would someone give you this kind of information? But a gambler would, especially since he had already tasted some sweetness, having won a few £1,000s following the previous tips. But where to get £100,000? Of course, from Lilly Turner. Sure enough, that evening's conversation between Nick and Lilly involved this matter. Lilly, I'm doing business with a friend now, taking on a government project. We need £200,000 as capital, but I've only raised £100,000. Can you help me out? I found it laughable listening to this. What project do you have? If bullshitting counted as a project, you'd be a top engineer. But Lilly took it seriously, because Nick held a special place in her heart. In the end, Lilly couldn't resist Nick's persistent coaxing and actually gave him £80,000. I knew that was my £80,000 savings. Thinking about how my hard-earned £80,000 would end up in the hands of underground bookies the next day, I looked at my stocks that had risen to £5 million in the market and felt a bit of heartache. Lilly, I'm really grateful to you. You're a ray of light in my life. Haha, I find Nick's way of talking amusing. Where did this bastard learn all this sappy nonsense from? Did he even finish secondary school? Just after Nick Andrews had eagerly placed his bet, predicting Manchester United would lose to Arsenal 0-3, the next day's match result turned out to be the exact opposite. Manchester United scored 3 goals, while Arsenal failed to net any. In other words, the £800,000 Nick had borrowed had gone down the drain. When he tried to contact Bill Harrison's alternate account, he discovered he'd been blocked. The self-proclaimed insider had vanished from all group chats, as if he'd never existed, or perhaps his sole purpose had been to play Nick for a fool. Bill was a bit miffed about this. Why didn't you let me place a bet too? I could have made a killing as well. I gave him a look. Don't you know betting on football is illegal? I may have known the match result, but how could I possibly know which underground bookie would do a runner? Well, you've just handed them £800,000. We might as well have set up a fake betting site ourselves. Let him give us the money, and then not place the bet at all. Mate, you could end up in prison for that. Do you really need that £800,000? You've probably spent nearly that much this month alone, stuffing your face while supposedly helping me gather information. Look at the stock market. Our shares are worth £50 million now. Bill thought about it and had to agree, but he still added, I'm just gutted about it. £800,000 is no small change. You know? That's enough for me to gather information at the gentleman's club at least 100 times. Keep talking rubbish and I'll have the police gather information at your favorite spots for you. I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on him. Now it was time for the next step. Nick hadn't yet told Lilly Turner that he'd lost all the money, but Lilly was feeling quite anxious about it. After all, that £800,000 was my money. So when I got home that evening, the first thing I said to Lilly was, Darling, I'm thinking of using some money from our account. A few friends and I are planning to start an app. and we need £800,000 for the initial funding. I watched Lily Turner's expression, trying hard not to laugh. The fear of what you dread most is what you get was written all over her face. After all, there was no way to explain this situation. Although I had entrusted her with all our money, I still had the right to control it. If I checked the balance and found all the money gone, we might end up in court. Sure enough, after about 10 seconds of contemplation, Lily offered an explanation. I've invested it all in stocks. I can't withdraw it right now. But this reason wouldn't convince any rational person. Who would invest such a large amount in stocks without discussing it first? Unless the husband was one in a million fools. And I was that fool. I actually believed her, even expressing remorse. Without even asking which stocks she'd bought. I said, "Well, I'll have to think of another way then." Then I went to get ready for bed. This was also against common sense, but Lily, feeling she had temporarily fooled me, was so relieved that she didn't dare say another word, fearing I might ask more questions. That night, I slept soundly, while Lily lay awake, filled with anxiety. Another week passed, and Nick Andrews still hadn't repaid the money. Lily asked him once, but Nick said the project had started and would be finished soon. He even promised to buy her a diamond necklace as a bonus. I found it amusing and began the next phase of my plan. I put on a dejected act and told Lily when I got home that I'd been scammed by a friend. The app project was a fraud, and I'd borrowed £80,000 from loan sharks. Now they were threatening to take our house. Lily was shocked. This situation was actually very delicate. In a normal family, the wife would certainly blame her husband for such a mistake. But Lily knew that if she hadn't lent money to Nick, I wouldn't have needed to borrow from loan sharks in the first place. When people are involved in something they feel guilty about, their ability to judge the whole situation declines sharply. This is a weakness of human nature. Clearly, Lily possessed this weakness. So, filled with regret, she said she had £5,000 in cash from her recent work bonus. She suggested we get a divorce before declaring bankruptcy. We could give the house to the loan sharks, leaving us with the £5,000. At the same time, she earnestly promised that the divorce would be fake, and we'd continue living together. Once she paid back all the debts, we'd remarry for sure. I asked Lily anxiously, "Darling, you won't leave me, will you?" Faced with this sudden situation, Lily was at a loss and could only agree to my suggestion. The next day, we got divorced, and the house was mortgaged to a finance company owned by Bill Harrison's friend. This meant Lily could no longer interfere with my assets. Although I promised to remarry her after paying off the debt, I knew this deadline was indefinite. On the day we signed the divorce papers, Lily cried. I wasn't sure if her tears were because she had lent Nick £80,000, leading to my bankruptcy, or if she was just struggling to adapt to the changes in our life. If it was the latter, I wanted to wipe away her tears and tell her this was just the first step, and better days were ahead. With the divorce certificate in hand, I felt elated. I went out for dinner with Bill Harrison and transferred half of the stocks from his account to mine. Looking at the steadily rising stocks, Bill was content. He asked me, "Now that you're divorced and she's practically left with nothing, is this over?" I took a drag on my cigarette and said puzzlingly, "Over? I feel like it's just beginning." After the divorce, I helped Lily Turner rent a small flat and gave her £2,000. Officially, it was our place together, but I told her I needed to focus on paying off our debts, so I'd often be staying at the office working late nights. Lily showed a bit of guilt and pain about this, though I wasn't sure if it was genuine. Still, I said, "Don't worry. Give me a year and I'll definitely clear our debts. Then we can remarry, and I'll give you the grand wedding you deserve." I quickly told my parents about this arrangement. At first, they couldn't understand why I divorced Lily, so I showed them the clingy messages between her and Nick Andrews. My parents were livid. Dad even wanted to go after Nick. However, when they saw the stock portfolio on my phone, they were amazed. I said, "When one door closes, another opens. I may have lost a wife, but I've won the lottery." This cheered them up considerably, and they put aside their concerns about the divorce for now. Mom even advised me to sell when the time was right. I smiled and said, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. Lately, to avoid playing house with Lilly, I've been telling her I'm working late at the office almost every night. In reality, Bill Harrison and I have been out whining and dining, and I've been sending Lilly WhatsApp messages late at night saying, go to sleep. Love. Missing you. Lilly seems to feel quite guilty, often telling Nick how hard I'm working. This woman is something else. But I discovered something interesting in their conversations. Nick, Lilly, does your husband still have any money? Lilly hadn't told Nick about my supposed bankruptcy, probably trying to maintain some dignity in his eyes. I've been thinking, if we want to be together long-term, we need to take a risk. I have a friend who used to do business in Russia. He has this poison from the KGB era. If you take it for a month, it causes a heart attack. And it's untraceable. The mystery I've been puzzling over is finally solved. I mean, I've had heart arrhythmia before, but I shouldn't have had a heart attack at such a young age. Surprisingly, Lilly refused this time. I can't do that. I've already wronged him so much. Last time I borrowed £80,000 from you, causing him to go bankrupt. He didn't even complain or question me once. I feel terrible about it. Well, Lilly thinks she's being loyal and considerate. In a parallel universe, without this £80,000 incident, she wouldn't have felt so guilty about killing me. Looking at it this way, my survival this time almost harmed Lilly and Nick, as it made her unable to hurt me again. Human nature is truly fascinating. Nick, never one for honesty, quickly changed tack when he realized his plan had failed. I knew you were a kind person, Lilly. It's this kindness I love about you. You're truly the angel I want to protect most. Oh, Nick, I don't know if she's an angel, but I'd love to send you both to heaven. So I said to Bill, have you found that perfect specimen I asked you to look for? Bill thumped his chest proudly. I've been preparing for this moment. Found her. I smiled slightly. Let's get to work then. For the following week, Nick Andrews barely had any chance to see Lilly Turner. This was because I occupied all of Lily's free time. Every time Lilly and Nick tried to arrange a meeting time on WhatsApp, I would immediately show up at Lily's flower shop and take her out for dinner. After this happened 3 times, Nick began to think Lilly was deliberately standing him up, while Lilly was left in an awkward position, unable to explain. After all, my timing was always too tight. As a result, Nick had nothing to do but go to the pub for drinks. At his regular pub, there was a beautiful woman who kept giving him flirtatious looks and eventually approached him. Being an experienced player in matters of the heart, Nick naturally didn't refuse. The two of them quickly hit it off. The woman's name was Susan, and she claimed to be a wealthy socialite. Nick, noticing that Susan was dressed in designer brands, believed her without question. They ended up getting a hotel room that very night. Once was enough to lead to a second and third time. Nick seemed to see a potential gold mine in his future through these encounters. After all, Lilly was out of money now. But a week later, Susan suddenly disappeared, and Nick couldn't reach her by phone. At the same time, I started working overtime again, so Nick had no choice but to turn his attention back to Lilly. The two of them were constantly making plans to get hotel rooms, which I found quite amusing. 10 days later, Bill Harrison arranged for an informant to post a message in Nick's flower-picking exchange group on Facebook. Brothers, be careful. Recently, there's been a woman with AIDS going around pubs, hooking up with men to take revenge on society. One of my mates has already been infected. This was followed by a photo of Susan. I can hardly imagine how Nick felt when he saw this message. Yes, I had arranged all of this. I had Bill find a woman with AIDS, promising her £300,000 so she could go abroad for treatment and then disappear, never to return. The woman was naturally delighted, although the task itself was a bit unethical, as it involved harming others. She didn't have much of a moral baseline to begin with. £300,000 might not be a huge sum, but for her it could be a life-saving opportunity. So she completed the task perfectly and left with the money. The next day, I had someone follow Nick. Sure enough, he went to the hospital for a checkup first thing in the morning. When he came out, His hands were trembling as he held the test results, his face ashen. Just then, a couple passed by and bumped into Nick. "Darling, this man touched my bum," the woman exclaimed. "What the hell? You dare to harass my girlfriend?" the man shouted. In reality, Nick was in no mood for such things, but he had no way to defend himself. These two were actors I had hired specifically to frame him. So the man started hurling abuse at Nick. When Nick tried to explain, the man punched him in the nose, and they started grappling with each other. At that moment, the woman picked up the test results that Nick had dropped during the scuffle. She opened it and shouted loudly, "Oh my God! He's got AIDS. Just diagnosed. Darling, let's get out of here." A crowd had gathered around them, and hearing this, they all gasped in shock. Many people started filming with their phones. The man, upon hearing this, was also frightened and quickly backed away. The crowd started jeering. "Getting sick and still has the nerve to harass women. Disgusting." Many of the onlookers had recorded videos, and Nick, covering his face, slunk away in shame. That day, Nick Andrews didn't come to see Lilly Turner. He must have gone somewhere to cry. I was in high spirits and invited Lilly for a candlelight dinner in the evening. As we clinked glasses, I flattered her with various compliments, thanking her for waiting for me to get back on my feet. At the same time, I was also checking my Facebook feed for interesting news. The most intriguing one, of course, was this. "Darling, people are so terrifying these days. This bloke, just diagnosed with HIV, had the audacity to grope a girl's bum in public. Her boyfriend gave him a right thrashing." I handed my phone to Lilly to show her the video. I'll never forget Lily's expression at that moment. Terror, bewilderment, despair, and anger, all while trying to maintain composure in front of me. She didn't know this was my deliberate setup. In her mind, I was just a naive fool whose money had been taken by a mistress, left to deal with the bitter consequences of bankruptcy, waiting to reconcile with my wife. "Darling, are you all right? Feeling a bit off?" I asked with concern. "No, it's nothing. This person." Lily's voice was already trembling. I knew she was on the verge of a mental breakdown. I savored her pain and despair, secretly sending a message to Bill Harrison. Half a minute later, my phone rang. "Hello, boss? Oh, that proposal needs more changes. I'm having dinner with my wife, you know my situation. Oh, please don't be angry. I'll be back at the office right away." I then said to Lilly, "Darling, you carry on eating. I've already paid the bill. My boss is chasing me again. There's just too much work lately. I love you." Lilly was in no mood to stop me. If anything, she was worried I might notice something amiss. I didn't bother with her and left quickly. An hour later, I was sitting in a rocking chair in Bill Harrison's hotel suite, smoking and relishing the delightful scene from earlier. Bill, the lucky sod, had booked a suite in a 5-star hotel and was living it up. As I recounted the events, Bill clicked his tongue. "I must say, mate, you're bloody ruthless. Now the adulterers got HIV, Lily's surely done for. You're absolutely diabolical." I hummed a tune, recalling the scene I had witnessed from above in my previous life. The despair and anger gradually gave way to the satisfaction of revenge in this life. "Just one last step," I said. "There's more." Bill almost shrieked, then lit a cigarette and said, "Thank God I've never crossed you, but it's bloody satisfying, innit? That bastard had the nerve to kill you? Killing you was bad enough, but why did he have to cripple my leg? How am I supposed to pull birds now?" That night, Lilly Turner and Nick Andrews had a fierce argument on WhatsApp. Nick finally lost his patience and stopped trying to placate her. He hurled insults at her, saying she had brought him bad luck. Lilly retorted that he was heartless and worse than an animal. Oh, how things had changed. To think that they once loved each other so deeply. How did it come to this? The next day, I personally followed Lilly to see her get an HIV test at the hospital. It wasn't until I saw her receive the report and burst into tears in the hospital corridor that I felt relieved. Otherwise, at least half of the £300,000 charity fund would have gone to waste. I knew that Lilly had fallen into complete despair at this point. She had lost her money, her marriage was over, her lover had turned on her, and she thought she had HIV. In this situation, I could only send a WhatsApp message. "What are you up to, darling? Work is exhausting, but I miss you so much. In 6 months, we'll remarry. Kisses." From my hidden corner, I watched Lily's complex expression as she received this message. Tears were slowly falling down her cheeks. She kept typing and deleting her response. What could she be thinking? Was she considering me as a backup plan? Was she planning to deceive me further? Or was she contemplating giving up entirely? Finally, I received an absurd message. "Darling, I'm so scared. Yesterday, someone came to our flower shop and cut themselves on a vase. When I went to check on them, I got cut too. Later, they said they were HIV positive. Do you think I might have been infected? Will you still want me?" I nearly lost my composure. Cut by a vase? Why not say it was a toothpick? But I still replied, "Don't be silly. It's all right. If you're worried, I'll take you to the hospital for a checkup tomorrow. Whatever illness you might have, I'll be by your side." I observed Lily's expression at that moment. She seemed to believe it, showing a glimmer of warmth and joy amidst her sorrow. As I left the hospital, I called Bill Harrison. "Is everything arranged overseas? This is the final step. Make sure it's done perfectly." That evening, a video went viral across the internet. Sex tape leaked of local official's son in illicit affair with sister-in-law. The local public relations department took the matter very seriously, immediately conducting an investigation. They finally discovered that while the video was genuine, the claims about it involving a government official's son were completely unfounded. The two people in the video had no connection to any government officials whatsoever. Since the video originated from an overseas user, no legal action could be taken. However, citizens were warned not to further spread the video privately. At the same time, an anonymous tip came in revealing that the original source of the video was the male participant, who had shared it in a group chat. Although the rumors were quickly debunked, it didn't prevent the video from becoming widely known, as the salacious claims were too enticing. Nick Andrews and Lily Turner suddenly found themselves infamous. I seized the opportunity to send Lily a WhatsApp message. "You've disappointed me terribly." When I saw that video, my whole body was shaking. I even hoped it was a deepfake, but reason told me it was really you. I don't care what illness you have or where our money went, but I'm a purist when it comes to relationships. By the way, I just won the lottery and can finally achieve financial freedom. I was about to remarry you, but now my heart is shattered. I never want to see you again. With that, I blocked Lily and even changed my own contact information. As for my parents, I had already moved them to a country house I bought for their retirement. She wouldn't be able to reach them either. I imagined she might try to find me at my workplace. Unfortunately for her, I had just submitted my resignation letter that morning. After that, Lily Turner's mental state collapsed. She suffered multiple blows and her nerves began to deteriorate. She believed that Nick Andrews was to blame for everything. Otherwise, she should have had a happy family by now, perhaps even being a wealthy socialite with millions in assets. But what was the reality? She was a socially dead, HIV positive, divorced woman with only £2,000 in savings and no house. Everything, absolutely everything, was because Nick had filmed their intimate moments and posted them online. If it weren't for that, even if she had contracted the disease, Lily believed that as her husband, I certainly wouldn't have abandoned her and would have had the money for treatment. It was all Nick's fault. In the end, she confronted Nick, intending for them to die together, but Nick killed her in self-defense. As a result of the manslaughter charge, Nick was sentenced to 7 years in prison, confined to a special HIV ward. In truth, compared to Lily, Nick should be suffering more. Once a person dies, their pain disappears. But Nick might have to carry this burden for years to come, possibly even dying in prison. Having dealt with all this, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Bill Harrison and I were now enjoying drinks on the observation deck of a 5-star hotel. Today was New Year's Eve, and in just 3 minutes, the new year would arrive. I've sold all those stocks. Now I'm left with 15 million pounds, I said, gazing at the distant cityscape with mixed emotions. Didn't you say you could hold on for another month? I wanted to see how it would play out, Bill asked. After everything that's happened, I've learned an important lesson. Greedy people ultimately die because of their greed. Knowing when to stop is best for us. Don't you have enough money now? Bill counted on his fingers, confirming that even if he sold now, he'd have enough money to last 10 lifetimes. He took a sip of his drink and said, I'm going to sell the bloody lot right away. In the distance, the clock chimed, marking midnight. Fireworks began to explode, and from below, the song Happy New Year started playing. The entire city seemed to be enveloped in a festive atmosphere. I raised my glass, not to clink with Bill's, but extended it towards the indigo sky, softly saying, Happy New Year.